Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Destination El Paso is the sponsor of today's episode. El Paso is more than just a place on the map. It's where Texas begins. It's a vibrant city with unforgettable sunsets and offers a unique blend of history, culture, and natural beauty. El Paso is the perfect destination for family vacations, couple getaways, outdoor adventures, meetings, conferences, and conventions. Our guests today are Janae'ReneaudField, Executive Director, and Rocio Ronquillo, Open Space Manager, both with the Frontera Land Alliance. Janae and Rocio, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, I am excited because I've been to Texas a couple times. Usually it's Dallas and it's Houston, but I've never been, and I know Texas is a big state. I drove through it. But El Paso and this whole region and the Chihuahuan Desert, and there's just a lot of beauty there. And I would love if first, Janae, if you'd share a little bit about the Frontera Land Alliance, and I would love to hear from both of you about your roles within the organization and perhaps a little bit about how you're going to introduce the Chihuahuan Desert to my fellow writers from the Outdoor Writers Association of America. So, Janae, why don't you start us off there?
All right. Happy to share. The Frontera Land Alliance is actually a local nonprofit. We work in the region. We were established in 2004. Our core mission is the preservation of open natural spaces, working farms and ranches for the benefit of wildlife and water. We do this through education programs, through stewardship, which Rocio will talk about when she shares her programming. And we also do it through the use of a conservation easement. As I said, this is our 20th year of operating. We have conserved or participated in over 8,000 acres of preservation to date.
That's pretty amazing. Now, 20 years, I would imagine as you look back, you've had a lot of accomplishments when it comes to protecting the wild spaces. And what has been some of the biggest challenges the organization has seen as it pursues its mission?
I feel the main challenge is for the community and decision makers to understand the importance of the preservation of these open spaces for today, but for the future. I think the long-term view isn't there, that the understanding of how important this land is for the community in West Texas is just lacking.
And with the community, is it a constant, is it negotiation? Is it looking for a common interest and we can agree on certain facets of the work that you're doing? Because you mentioned, you got the desert, you have folks like me who write about or podcasts about conservation, want to go hiking. And you also mentioned the farmers, okay, the landowners, and you also have these easements. So what are the challenges of trying to work with all of these entities?
I think it's lack of awareness. So we have a strong emphasis on education, starting from the little ones all the way up, so people understand at all stages it's significant. Even if they don't have land for preservation, their role is critical. And Rocio can explain her role in that structure of creating that connection to nature.
Okay. And Rocio, it's a pleasure to have you also on the podcast today with Janae. How long have you been with the Frontera Land Alliance?
Thank you for having me. I started back in 2022. If I'm not, it's going to be 3 years. So 3 years are coming up on November, which is really nice. I was currently working in Colorado as a wilderness ranger, and I felt that it was time to return to my community, to give back to my community, and kind of introduce them to what the outdoors are and the importance of conserving and protecting our lands, specifically in our Chihuahuan desert.
Okay. Now, as a ranger, what type of education is involved for doing the type of work that you are doing with the Alliance?
So it's the same, but also a different. When I was a ranger back there, my focus was teaching the community of what wilderness is and the importance of having wilderness areas, but how you can be a great land steward for protecting it, not just for you and the current generation, but also for the upcoming future generations. And it's how we can start connecting people to the land before they come out and are ready to explore it.
Okay.
And that was kind of my whole mission when coming back home, to do the same thing for my community.
Okay. And I'm curious too, because we have a lot of new listeners coming into the podcast, or hopefully we're shaping what folks want to do for their career. I wish I could like turn back the hands of time. I probably would want to be a ranger myself. What kind of education did you have to go through in order to be in a position to do the work either as a ranger or even what you're doing today for the Alliance?
Yes, so I graduated here from the University of Texas at El Paso with a bachelor's degree in biology and environmental science. So it kind of went together, but not as much of it. But I think when I graduated, my whole focus was going to be on research, like climate change and how our climate is changing, different ecosystems are changing. I had an opportunity to travel to Alaska. I did research there. But then when I came back, I heard about this new word, which is conservation. I was like, well, what is conservation? And I had to move to New Hampshire to explore and know what conservation was. I worked there for 6 months with the Student Conservation Association. So it was kind of like an internship. We got to travel throughout the whole state, and we met kind of what Frontera does, different landowners who acquire or have land that they want to protect, but also put it up for the enjoyment of the community. So we did a lot of trails, fixing up the trails, designing trails for people to do their outdoor recreation safely, building bridges from timber, working at different state parks. So I think that's where my little bug for conservation started, and when I wanted to learn more about conservation. Then that led me to my position with the Forest Service, and then that's when I saw this opportunity with Frontera, and I was like, I think this is the time for me to all the skills and knowledge that I have acquired to put them back to my community, because it just, as I was traveling to all these different states, I just also got a sense of wanting to see my representation, and most of the times I wouldn't see that. So that for me was like, I need to start within my community to give that torch to uprising, and why not current generations of you can go out there will be that representation for your community.
Very good. And I would imagine your family and friends are very happy that you're back in your where you grew up, and so you can always go back home.
Yes, they are.
So I do have a question about open space, but I want to shift just back to Janae to you for a second. The overarching work with the Frontera Land Alliance, and again, you've got education, you've been around 20 some years. What's what comprises the variety of work that you're doing within the Alliance?
It's the conservation easements. And so that's the legal document that we have with the landowner, which can be private or public. And that's the foundation of the organization. That's our bottom line, is to see other areas, natural areas, farms, or ranches ideally connected. So there's corridors that are being developed. The 3 of the conservation easements we hold right now are open to the public. The lands are owned by the city of El Paso. And so we manage over 14 miles of trails. We do restoration work on the land. And so it's the conservation easements that allows us to do the other pillars that fall under Frontera for stewardship and education.
Okay. The word easement, it's a word that I've heard before, but to be honest, I really didn't understand it. And what is there a definition of what that you could share about what that means for our listeners?
Sure. The simple version is that the landowner, chooses to restrict the type and amount of development on the surface of their land. It comes down to them preserving the conservation values that are found currently on their property, whether it be a ranch or a farm or a river or an open desert land like here in the Chihuahuan desert.
Mm-hmm.
The conservation easement puts these restrictions on the land, but in perpetuity, so forever. And our organization is then committed to monitoring it at minimum annually to ensure that the terms that were established by the landowner and the land trust are carried out. It's a wonderful tool when it works. It's not for everybody, but it has been a great resource for a landowner that doesn't want to see their next generation or their grandkids or great grandkids develop the land, but allow them instead to have this land as their legacy, as the family legacy for the future. For the city of El Paso, with our 3 conservation easements, it allows this community to have these lands for the future. They're going to always be there.
And with these easements and the conservation, is there negotiation that goes on with the landowner and the farmer about what they can or cannot do with the land?
Yes, absolutely. Because there are federal tax incentives that the landowner may qualify for. So to qualify for those, we need to ensure that the conservation values are preserved. So if a person has 100 acres and they say, we're going to subdivide 20 lots and we're going to put up 40 houses, that doesn't meet the purpose of what a conservation easement is. But if the farmer says, I need another barn, I know I need another house site, I will need fencing, no subdivision. And so we work with them on what they need. This is a document that is not easily amended. So we need to think 100 years out. Do you want wind power? Do you want solar? Do you want a cell tower? What are the other elements that you want to see as you move forward through this process of putting restrictions on your land? It's a big commitment and it leaves a legacy. It's a big commitment because you're saying this is going to be there forever. And it's not something that people should take lightly. They should really talk about it with their family.
Sure. Okay. No, I appreciate that level of detail for us. Rocio, back to you as the open space manager. If there are some kids from a local middle school, high school coming for career day, and you're at a table with nice logo and some photos, and they say, well, what is an open space manager? What do you tell them?
So I basically like to put myself as a nature hero. I think kids understand it a little bit better like that. I try to tell them that I wear like a cape, a nature cape, and I'm trying to protect the desert which we live in. But most of the time when you ask the kids if they know what the name of their desert, they tell you no. So those are the type of questions that help us to determine what type of programming we should start doing in our community for those answers to become common in our community, and they can easily associate their city with the environment they are. It also helps when you design a table. Specifically, you bring up like the scat and you tell them, this is poop. This is from a mule deer. And you have a picture of the mule deer. And then they're like, oh, I've seen it. And they're like, okay, so they know it. They've seen it, but they don't know what name to put to it until you start to explain it to them.
Okay. Now, within the three conservation easements within El Paso, what are the variety of open space experiences that someone like myself or my peers from the OWAA are going to have when we get there this coming fall?
So we offer a lot of different experiences. So I manage or monitor 2 out of our 4 open spaces. So it's Naplands Nature Preserve and Lostock Nature Preserve. So both of those, they're open to hiking, trail running, mountain biking, but we also bring schools. We do a lot of different guided hikes about different topics that can range from geology to our arroyos, to our insects that we have in the desert. And so there's a lot of different ranging topics that everybody can enjoy. And we try to do programming also based on age range and difficulty level, because as we are most of the time introducing these outdoor spaces to the community, they might not know what hiking is. So we try to create programs that are an easy learning experience, and then hopefully we start to see them grow into like more intensive programming.
Okay. And coming to your open spaces, typically what kind of preparation do you recommend visitors have before they arrive? And I mean, September, it's still going to be warm outside. It's dry, I would imagine. What do you recommend for people that they bring when they're going to be coming on a hike or explore or rock climbing or biking?
So I always like to tell them to follow the leave no trace principles, which is mainly always be sure to research where you want to do, what you want to do, and what trail you want to do. Bring an extra map with you of the property you want to experience, so that way you can guide yourself. We have now trail markers, so that also gives it a very nice guidance for people to know where they're heading towards. I always recommend, because you're in the desert, you never know. You head out and it's really nice and sunny, but then you're in there and it starts to get windy. So always bring layers. It's always nice to bring extra layers that you can just take off and pack them with you. Always wear long pants. I like to recommend that because you're in the desert most of the time. You're rubbing your legs against like a lechuguilla that's like can poke you, or it's a rocky and you can just easily maybe slip if you don't have a good grip. Closed-toed shoes. I had plenty of water because we're in the desert. I always have extra backups, and of course, a delicious snack. So you can just enjoy the view, find a sitting area, and watch our mountains, hear our vegetation, our birds, and all of that good stuff.
I love that. So I'll be hiking, and I will remember to bring my hiking poles with me.
Yes.
Definitely that. Hey, when you're out exploring, because I would imagine, even though you're an executive director, you're not all work. You have to get out and enjoy yourself. What's your preferred activity?
Hiking.
Yeah.
That's my hiking. Well, I grew up in Michigan, so I would say kayaking, but we do not have water here, so
Okay.
hiking.
So you grew up in Michigan, so I have to ask you, where?
Okay. Oh, yes. Right in the Center Farm area.
Center Farm. So
Yep.
I was like right there. I grew up in
Yeah.
the Detroit suburbs.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Nope. Do Flint, Owasso area, and in a farm area that way.
Okay. Very cool. And so you like hiking. Rocio, what's your favorite activity?
My favorite activity is also hiking, but I also enjoy kayaking when I have the time to be in the water. So
There's the water. We hike a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I have a kayak story, but I think we're focusing on El Paso, so we're not going to go into that one. When when you're kind of doing your day-to-day work and you kind of look back and what's the kind of the impact that you you see or feel or experience when you're having a conversation with a landowner, a farmer, a family who's or coming to El Paso and they want to experience the outdoors? What's been kind of your aha moment for like, wow, I get to do this so people get to experience the beauty of nature here in Southwest Texas. What's your aha moment?
For me, it's for my daughter. So she has these opportunities to just go outside and have public land access. There's not a lot of public access to land, and we're in the real West Texas. We are, minutes from the New Mexico border. Our neighbors also we have Juarez. And so having these lands that are hikeable and walkable for all ages is a wonderful contribution that the organization has made to the community.
Okay. And that actually leads to another question that what I want to come back to because you mentioned Juarez, but Rocio, as you have come back now from your journeys to New Hampshire and Colorado, and you've got this obvious passion, what's your aha moment when you're doing your work and all of a sudden you get to see the gleam in someone's eyes or the experience that they've had, you say, this is cool stuff that I get to do. What's been your aha moment?
I think when I see returning faces and they bring somebody else to enjoy what they enjoyed and the connection to the land that they now have. When you talk to youth and you tell them about the prickly pear that their grandmas they call it nopalitos, and then they come back and they tell you, my grandma did, yeah, you were right. And it's like, those are the moments for me. Or people that are scared of the outdoors and they came to an event and they were alone and they felt a sense of community of like, you're not alone. We're all in this together. Those are the moments that for me inspire me to keep doing what we're doing all together.
Excellent. And speaking of your grandma, when she talks about her granddaughter, Rocio, what does she say to her friends?
So my family, I think, my entire family, I think that I'm the explorer kind of like, what is she's in the mountains? So my mom, especially when I have to tell her, that I'm gonna go on the hiking for work and stuff, I tend to tell her I'm going to the mountain until I'm gonna be too at Lostock because she has no idea where is Lostock. So it's just easy for me to tell her I'm going to the mountain. So they just call me the mountain girl. So it's nice. I'm the different one in the family.
I love it. Well, I was thinking Rocio the Explorer, but the mountain girl. I love it. Janae, you mentioned Juarez, and obviously it's a border, it's a country border. What type of impact is your organization, perhaps whether intentional or unintentional, having, say, across the river into Juarez, and because they've got the wilds and the nature there as well?
I will try to answer that, but I'll let Rocio fill in.
Okay.
So we focus on the U.S. side, but what we're noticing that's happening is there are partnerships between the university, UTEP, and Juarez. And so these collaborations are expanding into viewing and seeing what we do here that they then are bringing back into Juarez, trying to replicate and create the same successes.
Okay. Anything you want to add there, Rocio?
She said it perfectly.
She said it perfectly.
Yeah, right. We're becoming kind of the mirror of land trusts of what they hope to achieve one day by protecting La Sierra de Juarez. But their system is way different than ours, unfortunately. But when we do Spanish-based programs, that's when we do see people benefiting from coming to this side, to El Paso, and kind of learning also and taking away something back to us.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, if visitors want to get in touch with the Frontera Land Alliance, visiting your website, and we'll share that in just a minute, what can they expect on the website and regarding the activities that are going to be available to them when they show up or visit your Facebook page or your Instagram page? What can they expect, Janae?
They would see our events on the event tab. And so what's there, if they want the most current, up to date, because sometimes events just pop up. There's a good opportunity if it has rained and something's blooming and we want to go see the Ocotillo. So follow Facebook and Instagram. But the pre-planned events will always be on the website. And also on the website under the About tab are our trails. So if you want a map that you can either open on your devices or print off, that's where you go.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned something that just brought back a memory. Ocotillo, that's the one, if you bump into it, the cactus, you kind of wear it for a while.
I don't think you wear them, but you will feel it for sure.
I think you have it in your background picture.
Yeah,
okay.
The one the tall one.
Oh, okay. So
like the octopus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was we have a nasty little thing here in Nevada. They look nice and fluffy, but if you get too close to it, they kind of jump onto your skin.
We have them too.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I'm wearing my really good long pants, long shirt. I'll be fully protected. So I know the destination and the activities are not totally set in stone. But I do know Frontera Land Alliance will have programming, and whether it's active programming for our touring as well as in the event itself for our annual conference. But what, just an idea, would our members within the OWAA, what can they expect to experience when they come to El Paso and through some of the work that the Frontera Land Alliance is doing, Janae?
I think they will meet a wonderful community that's very friendly. We will have excellent food, and everybody has their favorite burrito or taco or other foods. I think when they go see the properties, regardless of which one, they'll have beautiful views. You'll be on a trail, so you'll be protected from all those plants. Most of the plants have thorns around here. And if you're lucky, you might see some wildlife. Wonderful sunsets. Okay. And so it's just a beautiful area, and most people haven't really experienced the Chihuahuan Desert. So we're very excited to host you. We're excited to take you on some hikes and share some programming. And you never know, you might see a mountain lion or a bobcat.
All right. Now, by the way, I'm not going to ask you both about your favorite restaurant or burrito or taco bar. For me, it's also a coffee shop. I like my coffee. Rocio, if I'm going to come and be on a hike, should I just bring my smartphone camera, or should I bring a nice big camera with a long lens?
It's up to you. I'd carry both when I go hiking, because you never know what you get to see, which is really nice. Sometimes I'm out there and I get to see a family of mule deer. That's when I take my good lens out. For flowers, I use my phone. It just depends on what you want to capture, but that's the magic of the desert. You never know what you are going to get that day, which is wonderful.
I love it. I am so looking forward to visiting El Paso for the first time and experiencing the Chihuahuan Desert. So I want to thank you both for joining us here on the Outdoor Adventure Series and a part of this podcast series with Destination El Paso. And it's just really excited for the programming that we're going to experience through the Frontera Land Alliance. Now, Janae, before we head out, if listeners would like to learn more about the two of you, the Frontera Land Alliance, where are the best places for them to go?
To the website, it's FronteraLandAlliance.org. And they can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Excellent. So we will provide the backlinks to both of them. Again, Janae, Rocio, thank you so much for joining me today on the Outdoor Adventure Series. This is not your first rodeo, so I know this was painless for you both, but it's just been wonderful to get to know you. And I'm sure our fellow OWAA members who are going to be coming to El Paso are going to relish this episode and increase the excitement for when they get down there. And by the way, I'm actually expanding for an extra day just so I could get some hiking. I like light hiking. I'm not a heavy hiker, but I love my birding. I love just taking pictures. So I'm excited to what I'm going to see. So again, to the two of you, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a real quick close and then we can have a final chat. Okay.
Okay.
All right, folks, we have just been chatting with Janae'ReneaudField, the Executive Director, and Rocio Ronquillo, the Open Space Manager with the Frontera Land Alliance. Really a wonderful opportunity to learn more about the great work that the Alliance is doing and the impact they are having in protecting this beautiful natural resource in West Texas, the Chihuahuan Desert. Now, want you definitely to go out to their website, fronteralandalliance.org, as well as to their Facebook and Instagram pages. If you would like to learn more about this wonderful organization, whether you're an OWAA member or you're just planning a vacation to get out there and explore the best that this country has to offer, you're definitely going to be in good shape. Now, as for us, you can find this episode on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We're also on LinkedIn and Facebook on our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. We're on YouTube, and of course, wherever you listen to your podcast, especially Apple and Spotify, you can give us a rating. And if you like to, just sign up and get notified for any new episode that gets published. A lot of great content in our library. Now, definitely want to thank Destination El Paso for sponsoring this episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series, and really want to thank them for their support. And also the ability to help us find guests like Janae and Rocio. Now, to begin planning your El Paso getaway or outing, visit Destination El Paso's website at destinationelpaso.com. Until next time, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day, and we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.